Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today we're talking about cliffs, market cliffs, biological cliffs, and technological cliffs. A new topical drug just threatened to obliterate Turkey's multi-billion-dollar hair transplant market just overnight. And on the other side, we have a hard, definitive scientific timeline on how long humans can survive on Mars. A brutal 4-year limit. We're diving into the raw data, looking at the shock waves of disruption and the cold, hard limits of our reality.
It's a study in volatility, isn't it? Both economic and, well, existential. We have to look past the headline to see the second-order effects. Who loses, who wins, and what hitting costs pop up when a stable market is suddenly threatened like this.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with what you could call the hair transplant class. It's a $2 to $3 billion industry. It was highlighted perfectly in this viral meme post from @EllaFarhat79. It shows a hair transplant clinician, suddenly working a fast food counter. The humor is dark, but the economic threat is very, very real.
The post it captures the terror perfectly. For years, Turkey has completely cornered this market. We're talking over 1 million transplants a year. This whole industry, the clinics, the recovery hotels, the flights, it's all built on one idea.
And that idea is?
That the only permanent, reliable solution for hair loss is invasive surgery.
Exactly. And now that entire idea is under immediate threat because of one company, Cosmo Pharmaceuticals. Their phase 3 trial results for a 5% solution of something called classicotrone, you just rub it on your scalp. The results were astounding. It boosted measurable hair count by 539% versus the placebo. 539%.
That is a staggering number for a topical drug. But before we declare Istanbul's clinic shuttered, we need to inject a little realism here. We're talking about the potential obsolescence of a massive infrastructure. But that surgical market won't just vanish instantly.
Okay, what's the counterpoint? If a non-invasive treatment is that effective, why would anyone choose surgery?
Because of the 3 T's: time, trust, and transaction cost. The drug results are great, sure, but we don't know the long-term cost or how fast the results show up.
Or if people will even stick with it.
Exactly, compliance. The surgical market offers an immediate one-time deal with established trust and, well, guaranteed results, even if they're invasive. The Turkish market might pivot. It could become a guaranteed high-end service instead of just the cheap solution.
So they'd still lose a huge chunk of the market.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But even if they capture, say, 50% of the market instead of 90%, it's still a huge destabilizing shockwave. That $2 to $3 billion, it moves away from local economies and goes straight into the pharma pipeline.
A massive transfer of wealth overnight.
That's the definition of disruption.
It really is. Okay, let's pivot from medical tech to the strange conflict we're seeing in high-level industrial engineering. We saw 2 posts that highlight this weird paradox between hyper-precision and shockingly primitive maintenance.
The contrast is jarring, and it tells us something really fundamental about the cost of complexity versus the cost of friction.
Let's start with the precision. There's a post from @InterestingGale. It shows factory workers handling these enormous turbine blades, and they're using, it looks like white glove service, they're using these little wooden mallets just to tap them out of the rotor.
They look so delicate, don't they? But they're designed to withstand almost unthinkable conditions.
Right. A single one of those blades, made of these single crystal superalloys, can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000. They have to operate at peak efficiency at 1,500 degrees Celsius, just insane temperatures.
And that wooden mallet isn't just some old factory tradition, it's a critical safety measure. That huge price tag comes from the need for 0 defects.
Because if one fails...
A catastrophic turbine explosion at 30,000 RPMs. So the cheapest, least invasive way to avoid a microscopic scratch that could cause a failure is to use a primitive, soft wooden tool.
So you're spending 30 grand on the part and a few cents on the wood to handle it.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's contrast that with the sheer inefficiency highlighted by @DOGnews. It showed a commercial diver manually scraping biofouling barnacles and slime off a ship's hull underwater.
And that clip was painful to watch. It is so slow, it's so manual. Yet we know that all that gunk increases a ship's fuel consumption by anywhere from 20 to 80%.
Which is an immense cost when you think about bunker fuel prices.
A massive operational expense, ongoing.
So you have a global fleet running on engines optimized with these $30,000 blades, but they're being massively slowed down by algae and barnacles. Why is this manual labor still the go-to? There are robotic hull cleaners.
It highlights the cost-benefit paradox of physical assets. Yes, the robotic systems exist, but they're expensive to deploy and maintain. And ports have regulations. The alternative is dry docking, taking a multi-million-dollar-a-day ship completely out of service.
So it's cheaper to just pay a diver to scrape for a few hours.
It's the cheapest solution to maintain operational continuity. True global efficiency isn't always about the cutting-edge tech. It's about minimizing downtime, even if it looks like something from the 18th century.
That friction is just baked into the logistics.
It is.
That concept of friction, of finding the most efficient way to exploit a system, is even more present in the digital world. Let's talk platform wars. The latest frustration comes from YouTube, and it was highlighted by @FinancedStop. They are actively chipping away at the free version by locking essential features behind that $13.99 premium paywall.
And this time it's playback speed.
Yes. The ability to view videos above 2x speed, up to 4x. Those little 0.05x steps, gone.
This is such a cynical, predictable grab for revenue. They already sell premium by getting rid of ads. Now they're just segmenting fundamental user experience tools.
They're targeting the power user.
Absolutely. The student, the knowledge worker, anyone trying to learn something quickly, they're holding our attention hostage by making efficiency a luxury. What's fascinating is the immediate user resistance. The comments are split. You have the just pay the $14 crowd.
Of course.
And then you have an army of critics immediately sharing browser extensions and workarounds that just bypass the restriction completely.
It shows that when platforms monetize utility instead of luxury, users will invest their own energy into counter-exploitation.
They'll always find a way.
And speaking of rapid technological exploitation, a post from @SethSets shows how quickly this monetization loop is accelerating. The speed of creation here is genuinely alarming. A developer prototyped and launched a fully functional multiplayer betting game in under 30 minutes. Under 30 minutes, using the azure.dev platform. It got 633 downloads almost instantly.
And what's the game? What are the mechanics?
It's a simulated stock ticker. Players place real-time bets on a grid. The payouts are scaled by risk. It's designed to feel like crypto gambling or options trading.
So the barrier to creating highly addictive digital products has essentially just vanished. The question we should be asking is not, is this cool, but is this empowering creators, or is it just accelerating the ability to weaponize behavioral economics?
Weaponizing attention addiction.
Exactly. You can build a financially themed, addictive game in less time than it takes to order lunch. That's a fundamental shift.
And while platforms are optimizing revenue, users are optimizing for counter-exploitation in the physical world, too. This brings us to a huge vulnerability from @Tansiegen, showing the self-checkout theft crisis at places like Walmart and Target. We've all seen the videos. Someone sticks a cheap barcode for, say, produce onto an expensive item, scans it right at the self-checkout.
The old banana on the television trick.
Right. But we see the anecdotes. What are the hard numbers telling retailers?
Oh, the hard numbers are devastating for their margins. Industry reports show self-checkout theft is running at 3.5% of sales.
3.5%.
To put that in perspective, it is over 16 times higher than the theft rate at staffed lanes. And barcode switching alone contributes up to 20% of that loss.
That is billions of dollars walking out the door.
Billions. Because the machines, for all their complexity, are vulnerable to simple manual tricks. It's a systemic vulnerability they built into their own customer experience model.
From the ridiculousness of that, let's look toward the sublime limits of humanity. Let's start with Mars. @Constructivism dropped what they called a brutal truth bomb that frames our interplanetary dreams in terms of hard radiation limits. With our current tech, human survival on the Martian surface is limited to about 4 years. That's it. Why such a hard stop?
The limiting factor is the daily dose of cosmic radiation. The Curiosity rover measured it at 0.67 millisieverts per day. Now, that number probably means nothing to you.
Nothing at all.
So let's ground it. That rate of exposure is roughly the same as getting a full-body CT scan every 4 days.
Ouch.
Exactly. After 4 years, that cumulative dose crosses NASA's 3% lifetime cancer risk threshold. That's the safety limit.
So 4 years is the hard biological expiry date.
Unless we find a way to shield the surface, yeah.
This is critical. It totally redefines the mission. It goes from permanent colonization to, a temporary rotation-based exploration?
It does. But there's a practical counter-solution being planned.
Which is?
Not better shielding, better digging. Researchers are focusing on using tunneling tech. like the Boring Company, to create habitats inside Mars's underground lava tubes.
God, went under.
Burying a habitat under a few meters of Martian soil could block up to 90% of those cosmic rays. That's how you extend survival. The future on Mars is defined by how fast and deep we can dig.
Flipping back to Earth, let's go from escaping radiation on Mars to finding pure cultural immersion right here. At Level Berzio made a fantastic observation about China and tourism. The point is that China's tourism is still 95% domestic. This creates a really immersive travel experience where, as he notes, you might see one Westerner for every 10,000 Chinese tourists.
Which is incredibly rare today.
After seeing global arrivals balloon to over 1.4 billion, the idea of a major tourist hub that hasn't been completely fatigued by foreigners it's almost unheard of.
It creates this fascinating sociological dynamic. You have this large, relatively isolated travel sphere, which ironically fosters exceptional local hospitality.
Because they're not worn down by it.
Exactly. They're excited by the novelty, not annoyed by constant requests for directions.
And the architecture adds to that feeling of immersion. Take Chongqing, which was highlighted by at XH Lee 23, the city's vertical design with over 18,000 skyscrapers and elevated walkways. It's literally become a real-world cyberpunk paradise.
It's an aesthetic phenomenon. This multi-layered urban density is attracting international cosplayers and fueling sci-fi trends online. It's the real-world setting that sci-fi writers used to just dream about.
Finally, let's wrap this vibe check with a look at logistical absurdity. High-speed e-commerce meets maximum waste. At the internet, Fish shared a classic fulfillment fail involving a single Lego set. They showed a video of someone pulling a Lego set from an Amazon locker, but instead of one box, it was shipped in over 50 individual tiny packages.
50.
Over 50. Every single piece or subassembly was apparently packed separately.
You have to feel for the mail carrier trying to stuff all those into one locker. This just exposes the pure chaos of modern fulfillment logic. The system, probably driven by some automated rule, decided 50 tiny packages were more efficient and trackable than one box.
It's a spectacular example of an algorithm completely defeating common sense.
And generating so much frustrating waste.
So what does this all mean for you? We dove deep on market disruption that could crash a multi-billion-dollar economy. We analyzed the conflict between hyper-expensive engineering and primitive maintenance, and we saw how platform friction, from YouTube paywalls to rapid-fire attention games, is colliding with user counter-exploitation at the self-checkout lane. All while our biological clock on Mars gives us a 4-year expiration date.
If we connect that economic leakage, especially that massive 3.5% shrinkage rate from self-checkout theft, we're at a tipping point.
They can't just absorb that loss forever.
No. Retailers simply cannot sustain an environment where theft is 16 times higher than staffed lanes. It's not viable. So my prediction for tomorrow is this. We are on the verge of a rapid, major shift in retail security spending. Expect the rapid deployment of specialized AI-powered security systems designed specifically to detect barcode switching, weight manipulation, and suspicious transaction patterns. And expect it next year. These systems will fundamentally alter the self-service shopping experience. The easy era of self-checkout fraud is about to become obsolete.
Knowledge understood and knowledge applied. That's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thank you for joining us.
We'll catch you next time.